I have great respect for the legislature as critical arm of government for good governance and democratic practice. I thank you all very sincerely for the honor of my appearance before the hallowed chamber, and I respectfully look forward to being cleared by this distinguished Senate. God bless all of us. Thank you.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to make a brief comment on the person standing before us, Chief Uche Nnaji. Chief Uche Nnaji, like we all know, is a visionary industrialist, oil and gas expert, a pro-democracy activist. This young man, at a very young age, was detained by Abuja. This young man, he won a senatorial seat. He was senator-elect in 1999, but because of his loyalty, he bequeathed that seat for Chief Jim Nwobodo. He was also the gubernatorial candidate of APC in 2023. I urge my distinguished colleagues to please give him the honor of bowing and go. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ositangu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am still Osita Ngu. I'm here on behalf of the people of Enugu West. Mr. President, thank you also for the privilege to speak about and to the nominee from the coal city, Chief Uche Geoffrey Nnaji. We call him Nwakibie. Mr. President, when the president announced Nwakibie as the nominee from Enugu State, the state went in rejoicing mood. Everybody is happy, and the three senators from Enugu, even though none of us is from his party, are all in support. Mr. President, he is not just a politician. In fact, we know him less as a politician because he's a philanthropist, an industrialist, and in several sectors that he touched, he opened up his business. He's a managing director in about 5 companies that are doing extremely well. He is one of the nominees of Mr. President that has distinguished himself in the private sector. He is a construction expert. He is a health expert in aspect of health infrastructure. He's an oil and gas magnate, distinguishing himself in agriculture, and here, he is here in this hallowed chamber to be confirmed. Your Excellency, Mr. President, he is the immediate past governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress. Even though I worked for PDP and we defeated him, but it's not because he's not capable. We know he's also competent. In 1999, you can imagine someone at a young age to win senatorial election in Enugu State. Or in AD, it wasn't fashionable to be in Alliance for Democracy in the Southeast as at that time. But Chief Nnaji won as a senator, was a senator-elect under the platform of Alliance for Democracy. Mr. President, if we go by our tradition, a senator-elect declared by INEC is almost a senator. So I will support what my distinguished colleague said here, that Nwakibie, with the qualities that we have mentioned, is qualified to bow and go. Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, this chamber.
Distinguished Senator Goje.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Mohammed Danjuma Goje, representing Gombe Central. Mr. President, I stand to strongly recommend Chief Uche Nnaji for confirmation as a Minister, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I know him very well for the past 25 years. He is a destabilized Nigerian, like said by one of the speakers. He established businesses all over the country. I know he has businesses here in the north. He has been doing business with many northerners. He has employed them. Some are his partners. He's a good Nigerian. He is also very meticulous, very sincere and honest. And therefore, when I saw his name, I was very elated. And I'm happy for whatever ministry Mr. President takes into him. He will do very well, and I'm sure that he will not disappoint us. For this reason, he may not be a senator, even though he was senator-elect. I was also once a senator-elect in 1998, but because Abuja died, I could not call myself senator. So I know what it meant to suffer, for somebody to go through elections, to finance the election, to win the election, only waiting for swearing. At least, as Osita said, he is near the thing. Even if he's not there, he's very close to becoming a senator. So for this reason, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to endorse and confirm this very good nominee, a very good destabilized Nigerian, and a committed philanthropist, and a good businessman. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Darlington.
Thank you, the President of the Senate and their colleagues. My name is Darlington Nwokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. Mr. President of Senate and my dear colleagues, I'm happy that we have Okotete Geoffrey Nnaji. Asked him for us to clear him. And I thank God he's going to feature prominently, by the special grace of God, in the National Executive Council. At this point of our nation economy, we need this kind of young men that are very vast in all areas of operation. He's vast in the industrial area, oil and gas, construction, health, which means if we find him in the National Executive Council, he will brainstorm effectively and make the necessary contributions. And I know quite well that at this point, we need people that can think out of the box to see how our economy will move towards the right direction. And I'm sure that Geoffrey Nnaji will feature and do that exactly well. By the special grace of God also, I know that his younger brother, who presently is a member of House of Representatives, who is doing well there, making us proud, will actually guide him right in terms of legislative input to take the right decision, look into the necessary laws, if he finds himself in any of the ministries, and he will guide me right, and so that he will have a perfect result. Therefore, I call on my colleagues to read in between the lines, and let's clear him for him to represent his state and entire Nigeria in offering the best that will move our country to the highest, greater heights. Thank you, Mr. Senate President.
Chairman, public petition.
Mr. President, my name is Okechukwu Ezia. I represent the great people of Enugu North Senatorial Zone. The nominee before us is from my state, and I will not want to waste the time of this distinguished Senate. Other speakers have said all positives about him. We all support his candidature, and I would urge my colleagues to please allow the nominee to take a bow. But before I close, Mr. President, I want to make a point here. I want to draw your attention to Section 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It states, the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies shall recognize and reflect the federal character of Nigeria and need to promote national unity and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in the government and its agencies. The point I'm making, I'm not saying that Enugu State is not represented. The point I'm making is that since 1999, Enugu State has produced 8 ministers, none from my senatorial zone. Please, it's important. I need to say what affects my senatorial zone. Please, Mr. President, sir, as the government is going to nominate more candidates, I expect that my senatorial zone will be recognized. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ezia, and you are the chairman of public petitions, and you are yourself a petitioner. Senator Karimi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My point of order is on Order 52, Rule 4. A senator must confine his observation to the subjects under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant thereto.
Point of order is sustained. Let me thank my distinguished colleagues for all your contributions. And the nominee, it looks like you are a nationalist. So if you are given this opportunity, what do you think you will do to create more employment opportunities for the young Nigerians?
First and foremost, Your Excellency, I'm humbled by the kind words coming from the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic about me. When I was running for the governorship of Enugu State, unfortunately, Enugu State has a 52.9% unemployment rate, unfortunately. Enugu State has an unemployment rate of 52.9%. simply, what we were looking at from my team was to use agriculture in the state as the main area of employment. At the time in question, we were looking at, in every senatorial zone, if we can have up to 10 to 50,000 square meters of, hectares of land, then we will dedicate each of the zones with the type of agriculture that the zone will sustain. And as we are harvesting it, like if we take rice, for instance, if we are doing rice, as we are harvesting the rice paddies, we are setting up the rice mill so that the paddies goes to the mill right away. And as you are bringing out rice from the mill, you are packaging, using some for our people, sending some for export. If you do that way, both the primary and the secondary economy will be taken care of, and people will be employed heavily. People will be employed heavily, because agriculture is one of the greatest areas you can employ people to reduce unemployment. And part of the problem we are having is that in agriculture, when our people bring out the products, it is difficult to sell. Very difficult to sell, because if you look at in an area where Senator Ostan, the civil Senator Ostan represents, the area called Aniri, they do a lot of okra. But because they don't have people off-take, they don't have off-takers, it is difficult for them to make money. Most of the time, they end up trashing those okra. But if you have off-takers, maybe government off-taking it from them, it will be easy for more people to be planting okra and more people getting paid out of cultivating okra. So that's the same for every other area of agriculture. Once you have an off-take, if government has an industry, which is the secondary economy, if you have an industry that is taking off the products, more people will go into agriculture, and our youths will no longer be idle. And this will touch on the security of the zone as we talk, because if the youths are engaged, the security of the zone will be taken care of. So that's my take on how we can reduce employment. So this can be multiplied in a bigger scene like Nigeria.
Your area of concentration in job creation will be agriculture and associated fields, and particularly where you have the other components of it, which is production and the use of the agricultural products. So if you have associated small and micro industries, then you have government creating a situation of off-taking, where they become the off-takers. So as they produce, those things are taken away. And so you make money in two ways also. Thank you for your contribution. You may now take a bow. Next person. Okay.
Mr. President, I want you to take our standing order and look at Order 40 and read it so that we'll be properly guided. Or do I read it out? 41. Because we have a lot of work to do.
Do I go ahead? No. I'm just saying, you see, as we are screening, these issues of partition should only be directed as in the order.
Point of order is noted. Yes. Distinguished colleagues, we have another nominee before us, a former woman leader of my party, and she's here. The distinguished nominee, no, you are not distinguished. A former woman leader of my party. If it is Senator Baribe, he will use his head to know that I'm not in NAPCA. And if it is Senator Ningi, he will use his teeth to count his tongue. My sister, go ahead. Introduce yourself and then small resume. And after that, you answer questions from your brothers and sisters in the Hello Chamber.
Good evening, His Excellency, the President of the 10th Senate, my leader, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio. Good evening to the Deputy President of the 10th Senate, my leader, Senator Jubril Barau. I hope I got it correct this time, sir. Thank you. The majority leader, the leader of the 10th Assembly and other leaders of the 10th Assembly. Good evening, very distinguished senators of the 10th Assembly. I stand before you today with profound gratitude to God Almighty and to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with a deep sense of purpose to share with you a glimpse of my life's journey, my academic qualification, my experience and achievements as a Nigerian. My name is Stella Okotete. I was born on the 20th day of April, 1984. To late Francis Okotete of Ekeranwe Kingdom in Agbaro, Warri, Delta State. I attended Twins Fountain Group of Schools, Ogunu, in Warri, Delta State, and proceeded to the Federal Government Girls College, Benin City, in Edo State, where I obtained my senior school leaving certificate. I also attended the prestigious River State College of Art and Science, Rumola, in Port Harcourt, where I also obtained my diploma in law in 2002. I also proceeded to Benson Idausa University in Benin City, where I obtained a BA in International Studies and Diplomacy, and proceeded to serve, where I did my orientation camp in Benin, Kebbi State, and finished my service in Edo State. I served with Braindorf Ventures Limited, 20 Ekenwa Road in Benin City, Edo State, and went into politics. I had my share in politics as I was affirmed by the appeal court as a councillor representing the good people of Agbaro in Ugeli North Local Government in Delta State. I held that office for a period and served as chairman of the Councillors Committee on Education and the vice chair on health. During my short stay in the council, I was able to drive the governor's free education projects and programs in my local government. The governor found me worthy and appointed me as a special assistant in 2011 on Millennium Development Goals in Delta State. As SA Millennium Development Goals, I was more in charge of monitoring and evaluation, policy formation, and implementations of the Millennium Development Goals across poverty eradication, maternal mortality reduction, and child mortality reduction, as well as projects that has to do with education. In 2015, May 29th, the tenure of His Excellency came to an end. And the immediate past president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2017 found me worthy and appointed me in line with the Act of the Nigerian Export and Import Bank, Section 11 and Section 8 and 14. He appointed me Executive Director of the Nigerian Export and Import Bank in charge of business development. The functions of the ED of the bank, which I still hold till date, is to drive the business directorate of the bank to create quality risk assets and also provide funding to exporters in the non-oil sector. When we resumed in 2017, we met a balance sheet size of 67 billion. We grew it as at 2022, when our tenure was renewed, to 256 billion. We also met a bank that was already recording losses year in, year out for 3 years. As at 2016, the bank recorded over 6 billion loss. Today, the Nigerian Export and Import Bank is standing shoulder to shoulder as one of the leading export credit agencies of Africa. We recorded profits in 2022 of about 6 billion naira. I was also the woman representative, popularly known as the woman leader of the All Progressives Congress Critical Committee in 2020. As woman leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress at that time, I was able to bring to bear quality representations for our women, and we established new policies that will help shape visibility for our women across board. One of it is the Progressive Women Academy, which was approved by the Apple Store and the Google Store. It's an online academy where women can learn various soft skills to make themselves not just visible in the business space, but also in politics. I also understood, being a very young politician that got into politics at a very young age, that there was need to build bridges across the older women in politics and the younger ones. And I established the Progressive Young Women's Forum, which was also a platform to groom future female leaders and mentor them. I'm proud to say today that I have women who were part of my mentees, serving as commissioners, elected as House of Assembly members, and also councillors, and currently some of them as special assistants and advisors at various state levels. I also created the lobby group of the APC women, and we're able to galvanize stakeholders to accept the responsibility to push for more visibilities for our women. Based on that, when we did the review of the APC constitution, we're able to accommodate another seat for a woman in the NWC. Today, that's the only party in Africa that gives 2 seats, the leader, the woman leader seat, and the deputy woman leader seat to women in the NWC. I also, by the grace of God, was also able to influence such platforms for women across the party structure at the state, local government, and senatorial district. Mr. Senate President, while in Nexim, I'll tell you that I noticed that there was a short in our export, especially with our commodity exports. Commodity exports in Nigeria, when we resumed, was at its lowest. And we noticed that export of commodities in its raw form means we're exporting labor and we're receiving nothing but very little earnings in FX. And to grow the sector, we decided to introduce products that would add value and export. Today, under our leadership, the leadership of Abubakar Bello and my humble self and my other colleague Bala Bello, we're able to initiate the PAVE agenda, the produce, add value and export. Today we are producing cashew nuts from Nigeria and exporting. We're also processing other agricultural products for export. Distinguished senators, in conclusion, sir, my vision for Nigeria aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the aspirations of our great nation to diversify our economy, to strengthen governance, to promote sustainable development, and foster strong global partnership, which I firmly believe. As a young politician, I have a creed, and I believe that public service is an opportunity for me to serve humanity, to give my best, and to ensure that I become a model for other young women in Nigeria and in extension Africa, so they could also add to the economic and social development and growth of their nation. Thank you very much, distinguished senators.
Well, in line with my usual practice of sometimes recognizing one person from the state of origin of the nominee, or sometimes recognizing all, I hope distinguished senators will forgive me if I recognize only one, because after she finished speaking with the extensive CV, you could see that she has a lot of role to play in modeling and mentoring mentees, particularly for future leadership. So let me invite the Senator Babangida. You are not from there. This one that you had is up. Even Senator Abu, allow Senator Ide Dafinone, who is from there, to say something first. Because I know what you are going to say.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Chief Ide Dafinone, and I represent the good people of Delta Central Senatorial District in Delta State. I have to disclose as I start that the nominee is very well known to me as one of the constituents in Delta Central. As a strong politician, she has distinguished herself locally and also nationally in the work she has done for our party. But notwithstanding that, I've also worked very closely with the nominee when I served for 1 year as a non-executive director at Nexim Bank. What the nominee did not mention is that her position as the executive director of the business development unit meant that she was in the engine room of the bank. The business development office is the operational department of Nexim Bank. So she was in charge of operations of the bank. And in that position, she has been responsible for growing the balance sheet of the bank and has done exceptionally well. I want to add also that as a young woman, she has also favored the youth and women in her policies at the bank. That is aside from the policies she has done at home, encouraging young people in various developments and empowerment programs. She has also been very instrumental in growing non-oil exports. And at today's date, non-oil exports are a key focus of this administration as we protect the need to grow our economy in the background of dwindling oil reserves and a move globally away from fossil fuels to more sustainable forms of energy. So my question that I would like to put to the nominee so that she can extend, yes please. My colleague says she has distinguished herself already. So what remains is for me to say that I speak on behalf of my two colleagues from Delta State, who are both fully in support of the nominee, and to ask distinguished members if the nominee from Delta State could please be recognized for her good work at Nexim Bank, with the background that she has served one complete term at Nexim Bank, and that term has been renewed about a year ago, which shows that she has distinguished herself at the bank. With that, Mr. President, I ask distinguished members to please ask the nominee from Delta State to please take a bow and go. Thank you, Excellency.
Off your mic. Honestly, when she mentioned that she was the woman leader of the greatest party in Africa, I just remember that we are all from political parties, and in normal circumstances, the party is supreme. Is it the wish of the Senate that the nominee should take a bow? Yes. Those who are in support say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it.